Chapter number 8. So in this chapter number 8, questions by Parichet Maharaj are given. So initially, Parichet Maharaj reveals his enthusiasm for hearing Harikatha, and then he requests Sukdev Goswami to destroy all his doubts about different topics. And we'll see that these same questions will become the basis for further discussions. So let us begin with the chapter. Questions by King Parichet. Rajovacha ब्रह्मणा चोदितो ब्रह्मन् गुणाख्याने अगुणस्य च यस्मै यथा प्राह नारदो देवदर्शनः. Yes, please read translation and purport.
King Parikshit inquired from Sukadev Goswami, how did Narad Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities, and before whom did he speak? Devrishi Narad was directly instructed by Brahmaji, who was also directly instructed by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the instructions imparted by Narada to his various disciples are as good as those of the Supreme Lord. That is the way of understanding Vedic knowledge. It comes down from the Lord by disciplic succession, and this transcendental knowledge is distributed to the world by this descending process. There is no chance, however, to receive the Vedic knowledge from the mental speculators. Therefore, wherever Narad Muni goes, he represents himself as authorized by the Lord, and his appearance is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the disciplic succession, which strictly follows the transcendental instruction, is the bona fide chain of disciplic succession. And the test for such bona fide spiritual masters is that there should be no difference between the instruction of the Lord originally imparted to his devotee and that which is imparted by the authority in line of disciplic succession. How Narad Muni distributed the transcendental knowledge of the Lord will be explained in later cantos. It will appear also that the Lord existed prior to the material creation, and therefore his transcendental name, qualities, etc., do not represent any material quality. Whenever, therefore, the Lord is described as aguna or without any quality, it does not mean that he has no quality, but that he has no material quality, such as the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, as the conditioned souls have. He is transcendental to all material conceptions, and thus is described as aguna.
Thank you. So, ब्रह्मणो चुदितो ब्रह्मन् गुणाख्याने गुणस्य च यस्मै यथा प्राह नारदो देवदर्शनः. So, there are two words where Prabhupada emphasizes, or two aspects are there. So, one of the aspects is yasmai yatha praha narado devdarsanaha. So, Narada, who is seer of Krishna, so how did he speak that knowledge which he got from Brahma to others? Please explain about that. So, in the previous chapters, we just heard the Brahma Narada Samvad, the talk between Brahma and Lord Brahma and Narada Muni, and how he promoted or propagated that knowledge. He wants to know about it. And this exactly belongs to our sampradaya also. So, Tena Brahma Hridayadi Kavi, initially knowledge was given to Brahmaji, and then Brahmaji spoke to Narad Muni. Narad Muni spoke to Vyas. Vyas Dev spoke to Madhvachar, and then down the disciplic succession. No, we get this knowledge through Srila Prabhupada. Uh, so that is how this bona fide knowledge comes down the parampara. Prabhupada is emphasizing on that. And apart from that, Prabhupada says that how do we know that this knowledge is coming from the Supreme Lord? So, one very powerful way of realizing that the knowledge is proper, bona fide, is Guru Sadhu Shastra. Guru Sadhu Shastra. So whatever Guru is speaking, other sadhus from the sampradaya are speaking the same thing, and they are ultimately repeating the Shastra. So these three things are matching, then we can verify that this knowledge is proper. Apart from that, when we apply that knowledge in our own life, then also we realize that this knowledge is correct. And that's why this particular knowledge is called descending knowledge. Current system of scientific knowledge is called ascending knowledge. And this knowledge is called descending knowledge. Hmm. It's long before in 2004. Yes, 2004, 2005. Both in 2004 and 5. So that time I was studying in IIT Kharagpur. So that time Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj happened to come there. And he was addressing all the professors and scientists there. And there was a whole discussion about how the way Vedic knowledge works and the way modern science works is different. Here in this world, oh, sorry, not I won't say in this world, but the way scientific knowledge works is that we see some observations, we theorize it, we formulate into some formula, and that is how the knowledge is promoted. Whereas Vedic knowledge is that things are already known, we can still experiment them and verify whether they are right or wrong. That means when we apply that knowledge, are the promised results coming? If they are coming, we can verify, yes, that is right. And that is how this ISKCON has become such a big society. So when people see that people who are hippies, who are into so many malicious activities, they give up all those things and they're following a pure lifestyle, that gives confidence to the people that this particular knowledge is bona fide. So that's basically called avro, hmm, descending knowledge. We have the knowledge, we apply it, we see the results, we get faith in the knowledge, and then we continue. It's like we come to an airport and we see a map some person has given so that we can reach to a particular destination. Let us say we come in Delhi and we are given the map of east of Kailash temple. So then we came from the airport, we move, let us say in the straight lane, and then some landmark is given. And we are able to see, yeah, landmark is there. We move left, we see another landmark. Then we see the third landmark. And by the time we see few more landmarks, we understand that the rest of the map is supposed to be true. But in case we don't see landmarks, then we get it out. Hmm. It's like rather than landing in Delhi, we supposedly land in Calcutta. Then the map will not match. So that is how we have the knowledge, we apply the knowledge, we see the results, and that is how we get confidence on the knowledge. So that's how it works. It works in parampara. Another thing which Prabhupada is emphasizing on the word gunakhyane agunasya cha. Agunasya. Agunasya means one who has no qualities. So when these qualities are given, the word guna is given. Guna can also refer to the qualities. Guna can also refer to uh, three modes of material nature. But what is being referred to here is three modes of material nature, not the qualities. So Lord has unlimited spiritual qualities. Guna Sagar, he's called the ocean of good qualities. But then Agunas means he is devoid of three modes of material nature. So that's what this word is referring to. Okay. So now we can move to the next verse. एतत् विदेतुमिच्छामि तत्त्वं तत्त्वविदां वर हरेरद्भुतवीर्यस्य कथालोकसुमङ्गलाः. Yes, please read the translation and the purport.
Does anyone want to read?
The king said, I wish to know. Narrations concerning the Lord possesses wonderful potencies, are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets. Srimad Bhagavatam, which is full of narrations of the activities of the Supreme Lord, is auspicious for all living beings residing in every planet. One who takes it as belonging to a particular sect is certainly mistaken. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very dear scripture for all the devotees of the Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non devotees. Also, because it explains that even the non devotees hovering under the spell of material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear the narrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam with devotion and attention from the right source representing the Lord by disciplic succession.
Thank you. So, etad vidoktam ikshami, I wish to understand. Viditum is basically to know, to understand. Tattam tattvedam vara. Hmm. So, vara means best. So, I want to know in truth from who those who are versed in absolute truth. About whom? Harir Adbhuta Viryasya. About different wonderful potencies of the Supreme Lord Hari. And Katha Loka Sumangalaha. Such narrations are auspicious for all the planets. So, Prabhupada emphasizes on hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam and also on Tattvedam. Tattvedam means hearing it from devotees. So, if we hear Srimad Bhagavatam from devotees, then what happens is any person can be purified. But then why it is mentioned the devotees? Because only devotees have devotion and they can devotionally explain it. Otherwise, people have so many explanations. Once I went to one Ved, then he was in Navdeep only. Many devotees were showing to him. So then he was telling, "Oh, you are a sadhu, you must be knowing so much." And then he was telling, "What is Bhagavad Gita? What is Kurukshetra? Kurukshetra is this body. And then what are these armies? There are different types of veins." And he has his own analogy of the whole thing. Who are Pandavas? Panch Pandavas are the five Indriyas. So many things he was explaining. So people can have different interpretations, but only devotees can explain things devotionally because they see things devotionally. Otherwise, if one doesn't hear from devotees, then changes may not be there because one may not even understand what is Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavat Podiya Bhagavat Sthane. One should hear Bhagavatam from a Bhagavatam, a devotee. Because a devotee has that devotion and he can relish that devotion. Because ultimately, Bhagavatam has to be read while relishing Bhagavatam. Uh, so, Sukdev Goswami and even Vyasdev himself recommends that Bhagavatam has to be relished. Sukhmukad Amritdavya Samitam. Pivad Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. So drink this nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavaka. So that is how a Bhagavatam should be read. It should be read in a way that we relish the bhakti rasa within Bhagavatam. So only one who is relishing it can help others to relish it. So that's why it has to be heard from devotee. And anybody who hears from right source will certainly see a transformation. I'll just quote one more verse. This was Vivanti ye bhagavatatmana satam kathamritam sravanaputeshu samritam punanti te visaya vidusita sayam vridanti tacharana saroruhantikam. So even if somebody has a wrong motives and he hears Bhagavatam, there is effect. Pivanti ye bhagavat atmana satam. Satam is basically devotees. So drink Bhagavatam from which comes from emanates from the mouth of devotees of the Lord. Kathamritam. This katha is nectar. Shrive putesu samritam. One should hear it from ear holes. This is the mouth. Why? What happens if one hears from devotees? Punanti te visay vidusit asayam. Vidusit asayam means Prabhupada translates it as polluted aims of life. So different people may have different aims of life which are different from devotion service. But punanti means even they get purified. And what is the result? Vrijanti tacharana saruru hantikam. One ultimately gets the center of lotus feet of Krishna. So that is how Bhagavatam should be heard and should be from the mouth of devotees. कथयस्य महाभागा यथाहम् अखिलात्मनि कृष्णे निवेश निसंगम मनस्तक्षे कलेवरम. Yes, please read translation and the purport.
Hare Krishna. O greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. Purport. To be fully engaged in hearing the transcendental narration described in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam means to constantly associate with the Supreme Soul, Sri Krishna. And to constantly associate with the Supreme Lord Krishna means to be liberated from the qualities of matter. Lord Krishna is like the sun, and material contamination is like darkness. As the presence of the sun dissipates darkness, constant engagement in the association of the Lord Sri Krishna frees one from the contamination of the material qualities. Contamination by the material qualities is the cause of repeated birth and death, and liberation from material qualities is transcendence. Maharaja Parikshit was now a realized soul by the secret of liberation through the grace of Sukadeva Goswami, for the latter had informed the king that the highest perfection of life is to be in remembrance of Narayana at the end of life. Maharaja Parikshit was destined to give up his body at the end of 7 days, and thus
And thus he decided. Oh, seems like a network problem. Okay, I think there is some network problem there.
Maharaj Parikshit was destined to give up his body at the end of 7 days, and thus he decided to continue remembering the Lord by his association with the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, and thus to quit his body in full consciousness of the presence of the Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Soul. The hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam performed by professional man is different from the transcendental hearing of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a soul realized in the absolute truth, Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The fruitive materialist is not a realized soul. He wants to derive some material benefit from his so-called hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Undoubtedly, such an audience hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the professional men can derive some material benefit as the desire. But that does not mean that such a pretense of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for a week is as good as of hearing of Maharaj Parikshit. It is the duty of the same sent to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul and not to be duped by professional man. One should continue such hearing till the end of one's life so that one can actually have the transcendental association of the Lord and thus be liberated simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit had already given up all his connections with his kingdom and his family, the most attractive feature of materialism. But still he was conscious of his material body and he wanted to be freed of such bondage also by the constant association of the Lord.
Thank you. So Kathiyasya Mahabhaga Yataham Akhilatmani. Akhilatmani, Lord who resides in everyone's heart. So please speak Kathayasya about that Supreme Lord. Why? Krishna Nivesani Sangha Manastyakshe Kalevaram. Because I want to absorb this mind in Krishna, devoid of all material desires. So that's why please speak Harikatha. So Harikatha and Harinam are the best ways of absorbing one's mind in Krishna. That's exactly what Brajavasis do. So every time they meet, even if they don't meet someone, they keep on singing some glories of Krishna, some pastimes of Krishna in their own vernacular language of Brajavasa. And that is how they remain always absorbed in Krishna. So Parikshit Maharaj wants to hear from Sukadeva Goswami, and that is, he finds it as the best way of absorbing his mind in Krishna. And wherever Krishna is there, as Prabhupada writes, केचित् केवल्या भक्ता वासुदेव पारायण agam gunvanti karsana niharame bhaskara. Wherever sunlight is there, there is no fog. Similarly, there is no darkness. Jahan Krishna tahan nahi maya radhikar. Because what is maya? Basically, maya is seeing things not connected to Krishna. If we see things connected to Krishna, it's not maya. Why? Because everything is in fact connected to Krishna. So if somebody is hearing Harikatha, suddenly he will see everything connected to Krishna. And if he sees everything connected to Krishna, he's not in Maya. As simple as that. And that's why he wants to absorb his mind in Harikatha. And he wants to give up his body while remembering Krishna. So that is possible by hearing Harikatha. So Sravanam, Kirtanam leads to Smaranam. Whatever you hear, whatever you speak, that comes in the memory. That remains stays back in the memory. And again, Prabhupada repeats the same thing. He makes us cautious to hear only from the devotees. Because those who are professional people, they speak Bhagavatam for some benefit. Like, I don't know, maybe some of you also from that region. I'm from Western UP. So people from Western UP generally, there are a lot of Kathakars there. And when Bhagavad Saptah is there, certain things are very popular. One day there has to be Krishna Janma. Why? Krishna Janma is there, then donations come. It's very necessary. Then there has to be Rukmini Vivaha. Because Rukmini Vivaha is there, then people, all the ladies come with a dowry for Rukmini Mata. So that's also very necessary. Sudama Charitra is very important because Sudama got so much from the Lord. But before that, he give something to the Lord. So they also want something from everyone. So Sudama Charitra is very popular. I remember once I was going and then one person was saying सब लोग हाथ खोल के खड़े हो जाइए आज भगवान छप्पर फाड़ के देने वाले हैं नो लीव योर हैंड लॉर्ड इज गोइंग टू गिव एवरीथिंग so everybody was like standing like this as if Lord is really going to give something. So generally people many times who speak, they give importance to only wealth, material wealth. And people who hear also they hear so that they get some piety and they can get some wealth. So when that is the purpose, what is the result? They get wealth. Those who speak get wealth, those who hear get some wealth. But one doesn't get devotion. Devotion comes only when those who are eager to hear, they want devotion, and those who are speaking also want to uh, increase their devotion, others' devotion. So then the entire purpose is very pure. So that's the purpose is don't hear from professional reciters. And if one hears from devotees regularly, what is the result? So this very famous verse, maybe you can repeat after me. This particular verse. Sanvata Shraddhaya Nityam
शृण्वता श्रद्धया नित्यम्
Granatascha Sacheshtitam
गृणतश्च स्वचेष्टितम्
Kalena na Atidirghena
कालेन नातिदीर्घेण
Bhagavan Visate Hridi.
भगवान्
विशते
विषये
हृदि।
Yes, please read translation and the purport.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Puruji?
Yes, Puji. You're audible.
Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. Purport. Cheap devotees or materialistic devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without meeting the requisite qualifications. Such third grade devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord face to face cannot go together. It is not such a mechanical process that the professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third grade materialistic pseudo devotee. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self-realized nor interested in liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in maintaining the material establishment of family attachment and earning some material benefits out of the profession. Maharaj Parishit had no more than 7 days to live. But for others, Maharaj Parishit personally recommends that one hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, Nityam, always by one's own effort and with serious devotion also. That will help one to see the Lord Sri Krishna manifested in one's heart within no time. The pseudo devotee, however, is very anxious to see the Lord according to his whims, not making any serious efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, and without detachment from material benefit. That is not the way recommended by an authority like Maharaj Parishit, who heard and benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, Samrata Shraddhaya Nityam. One should hear with faith. With faith, what does it mean by with faith? With faith means whatever I'm hearing is true. There are some people who have a lot of knowledge, but they don't have faith in that knowledge. Once I met with one he's quite a powerful IS officer. So, so this person had so much of knowledge of the scriptures. But then that time, this Bhagavad Gita ban in Russia was going on. So I also was a person who were like, we did some Harinam Sankirtan and we opposed the whole thing. So that time we was telling, oh, you ISKCON devotees, you should distribute Bhagavad Gita only to devotees. When you give it to other people who are faithless, then what happens is automatically such troubles will come. You're not following what is given in Bhagavad Gita, and he was quoting from Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, this knowledge should be given only to the devotees. And then apart from that, like he was criticizing many things of ISKCON. So then I was thinking this person has so much knowledge, but then why conclusion is so wrong? And the problem is, even if some Gyanis would have come, he would have supported them and opposed them to some extent. Some yogis would have come, he would have supported and opposed them to some extent. So he had a lot of knowledge of everything, but he didn't had enough faith to follow any of the processes. So he was not following anything. So what is important is Shraddha also. And then Prabhupada emphasizes also on the word Nityam. Nityam means it should be done regularly, not for just 7 days. Of course, 7 days is better than no days, but then it should be done regularly. But swachestitam, one should put some effort also. So you want to put some effort, then kalena nati dirghena bhagavan vistari. Very soon, Lord resides in the heart of such a hearer. So those who want cheap things are cheated. Like if you go to Radhakund, so many times I saw the advertisement. 6 महीने में भगवान के दर्शन कराने वाले. Within 6 months, they will show you Krishna. So then people are attracted. Oh, I have been chanting for so many years. Just follow this Babaji for 6 months and he'll show you Krishna. But the point is that even if we see Krishna, if we don't have devotion, we won't realize him. Kansa saw Krishna, Jarasandha saw Krishna, but they had no devotion, so there was no transformation. So transformation comes not just by uh, seeing Krishna face to face, it comes by developing that devotion through proper sadhana in association of pure devotees and under their guidance. That's why Rukmini, she never saw Krishna, she just heard about Krishna from Narad Muni. She developed such attraction for Krishna. Same thing is true with Duj Patnis also, the wives of the Brahmanas. They heard from the vendors of Vrindavan and they developed such attraction for Krishna. Whereas Kansa saw Krishna face to face, Jarasandha saw Krishna face to face, but they had no devotion, so they couldn't appreciate the devotion for Krishna. So that is how devotion matters. So if we hear regularly Srimad Bhagavatam from devotees, put effort in trying to understand Bhagavatam, have faith in that knowledge, then we'll get the results. So these are few of the elements. Okay. This is also another famous verse. Please repeat this also. Pravishta karnarandrena
प्रविष्टः कर्णरन्ध्रेण
swanam bhava saroruham
स्वानां भावस्तोत्रम्
dhunot
सरोरुहं
dhunoti samalam krishnah
धृणोति शमलं कृष्णः
salilasya yatha sarat.
सलिलस्य यथा शरत्.
Please read translation and the purport.
Hare Krishna. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. Purport: it is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the world. Thus, one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee like Narada or Shukadeva Goswami, and thus is empowered by one spiritual master, as Narada was by Brahmaji, can not only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. The comparison to the autumnal rain that falls on muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all the waters of the rivers become muddy, but in the month of July August, the autumn season, when there is a small when there is slight rainfall, the muddy waters of the rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water, like that of a metropolitan waterworks tank, can be cleared, but by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers. A powerful, pure devotee of the Lord, however, can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods like the culture of empiric knowledge or mystic gymnastics can simply cleanse one's own heart, but devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general by the devotional service of the pure empowered devotee. A true representative of the Lord like Narada, Shukdev Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, and later Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service. By sincere efforts to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, one realizes his constitutional relationship with the Lord in the transcendental humor of servitude, friendship, parental affection, or conjugal love, and by such self realization, one becomes situated at once in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Not only were all the pure devotees like Narada self realized souls, but they were engaged in preaching work automatically by spiritual impetus, and thus they delivered many poor souls entangled in the material modes. They became so powerful because they sincerely followed the Bhagavatam principle by regular hearing and worshipping. By such actions, the accumulated material lusts, etc., become cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. Purification of the heart by culture of knowledge or mystic yoga may be alright for the time being for an individual person, but it is like the cleaning of a small quantity of stagnant water by chemical process. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being and the sediments settle down, but by a slight agitation, everything becomes muddy. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good. Whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being, there is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service to the Lord with specific attention for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. Hare Krishna.
Hmm. Thank you.
Very
So, प्रविष्टाकरणरन्ध्रिणा स्वानां भावसरोरुहं धुनोति समलं कृष्णसलिलस्य यथा सरत् भावसरोरुहं. So Krishna, in the form of his topics, enter in the heart of a devotee. How? Karnarandhrena, through the ear holes. Hmm. So although Paramatma is always seated in the heart, he is neutral. Upadrashta Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. But when we say Krishna is entering through the ears, that time Krishna attracts the devotee. Krishna attracts the devotee to himself. And Bhava Saruruham means he attracts the devotee to one of the bhavas, like Dasaras, Sakaras, Vatsalaras, Madhuraras, etc. That's why Bhava Saruram can also have a meaning that lotus of various sentiments for Krishna. And when there are sentiments for Krishna, Samalam, the faults like lust, anger, greed, etc., they just go away. But now the question comes is, okay, even Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, they can also cleanse one's heart from lust, anger, greed, etc. So, what is so great about it? So, like Prabhupada compares it with purifying some reservoir in some small place, maybe in some city. So, you can add some chemical, purify it. But what happens is, or in a jar, if you put some chemicals, the mud may settle down. But as soon as one shakes the jar, the mud comes back again. Similarly, when it comes to Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, etc., that doesn't purify heart totally. And what is the reason? Reason is given in Bhagavatam 1.6.35. Yamadevir yoga pathe kamaloba hatu muhu mukund seveya yadvat tatha madha na samsati. So the soul which is kamloba hato muhu, which is afflicted by lust and greed again and again, he cannot be satisfied by yam advir, yam niyam, asan pranayam, all these things of Ashtanga Yoga. Why? Because Mukund Seveya Yadva Tatha Madhya Samsati. Because only by service to Lord Mukunda can one be 100% satisfied. So why bhakti is so much emphasized as the permanent solution, or spoken here as Salilasya Yatha Sarat. Like winter rains, they settle down all the mud of the reservoir, of the ponds, of the rivers. Why it is compared like that? Because ultimately it's nature for one to eternally serve Krishna through the process of bhakti. So only when that 100% satisfaction is there, then one can say, oh, one will not move away from this position. Why? Because this position is natural for everyone. Whereas being a ashtang yogi, karma yogi, jnana yogi is not a permanent position for anyone. Being situated in Brahman is not a permanent position for everyone. That's why when we work according to our nature, one is we are in a totally pure situation. So that is why it is mentioned here is that it is compared to Sailasya Yatha Sarat. Okay. And the theme continues to the next verse also. धौतात्मा पुरुषः कृष्ण पादमूलं न मुञ्चति मुक्त सर्व परिक्लेशः पान्था स्व शरणं यथा. Yes, please read translation and purport.
Pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service as ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two fallen souls, Jagai and Madhai. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very, very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because a pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in his heart that he cannot leave the shelter of the Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self interest in such service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the Gyanis or the bodily gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performers. But a devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for he is ordered by his spiritual master. Pure devotees like Narada and Nityananda Prabhu take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously, as the order comes from the higher authority, from the representative of the Lord or from the Lord himself. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest and sometimes on the ocean and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly, there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places, but all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered. And as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles on the way. A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undated in discharging his duty in full affectionate tie with the Lord.
Yeah, thank you. It's very beautiful example Prabhupada has given here. Hmm. So, dhota atma purusa Krishna padam namunjati. So, such a person whose heart is cleansed never gives up lotus feet of Krishna. So, so he's like a traveler who, after returning home, forgets all the suffering which he underwent while earning the wealth. Uh, So, this is a beautiful example given here. So, person, why does he work so hard? Generally, people say that it's for family members. It's for family members. So there is some affection is there. Like in uh, NOD also, Rupa says that everybody in this world is working for some rasa. So why a man goes out in the from morning till evening and works so hard? Because there is some rasa in family life. And when one returns home, it's like one comes to his natural place where one is fully relaxed. Similarly, for the soul also, once one comes to his original position of being with Krishna, one is fully relaxed. And that affection for Krishna, that affection for Vrindavan, which is his home, that affection for Brajvasi, who are his family members, are, you can say, they are the force or energy which helps one to go out and preach in this world. So that is how uh, a devotee, when he takes to devotion service, that is permanent situation. He doesn't have to change. Whereas are no Ashtang yogis and Karma yogis and Jnana yogis in the spiritual world. Because Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Ashtang yoga, they all are in mode of goodness. Hari hi nirguna sakshat purusa prakriti para sarvadek upadrishtaktam madan nirguno bhavet. So Hari hi nirguna sakshat. Krishna is beyond three modes of material nature. Purusa prakriti para. He is beyond prakriti and he is a person. Sarvadek upadrishtaktam madan nirguno bhavet. So anybody who worships Krishna, does bhajan of Krishna, bhakti of Krishna, also becomes free from three modes of material nature. Whereas kar, Sakam Karma Yoga is in mode of passion, Niskam Karma Yoga is in mode of goodness, Ashtanga Yoga is in mode of goodness, Jnana Yoga is in mode of goodness. They are under modes. So it's only bhakti which is beyond modes, and that's a permanent situation. So when one is in that permanent situation, one doesn't give up lotus feet of Krishna. Because one is in his natural place. So that's explained here. So is there any change after that? No change after that. Okay. यद अधातु मतो ब्रह्मन् देहारंभोऽस्य धातुभिः यदृक्ष्या हेतुना वा भवन्तो जानते यथा. Yes, please you translation purport.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. O learned Brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Parikshit, being a typical devotee, is not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the representative of Brahmaji by disciplic succession, but is still more anxious to establish the philosophical basis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, all questions that may arise in the mind of a serious student must be cleared by the statements of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from his spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings. From the Bhagavad Gita as well as from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subjected to many transmigrations by continuous changing of the material body. But what are the causes of the material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Maharaj Parikshit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on path of self-realization and devotional service to the Lord. Indirectly, it is confirmed that Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of body. He is spiritually whole, with no difference between his body and his soul. Unlike the conditioned souls, the liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subjected to change of bodies. How was the process first begun? In the process of devotional service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process. This inquiry is essential for immunity to all kinds of offenses on the path of devotional service. Even if one is fixed in devotional service, like Maharaj Parikshit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all these inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple. Thank you.
Thank you. So, yad adhuta mahato brahman deyaram vasa dhatu bhi dadrichya hetuna va bhavantu gyate yatha. Please explain whether the body of the jiva is made of elements placed by chance or by some specific cause as you understand. Yes. So after expressing his enthusiasm to hear about Krishna, which is the first anga of bhakti, which he cherished like anything, now Parikshit Maharaj begins to ask about other things also. So about other things which may contribute to the accomplishment of goal. So the main thing is certainly hearing, but then there may be certain other things which can help in accomplishing the goal. And other things are explained in rest of the verses, beginning with this verse. So certainly these things should be there, but they should be addressed along with bhakti. So devotees who cherish hearing, chanting about sweetness of Krishna may also inquire about other elements. So what he says is that jiva who does not have relationship with the material elements, adhatu mataha, why does he take up this body which is made of material elements? So is this body produced by some chance or for some reason? So please explain to me as you have understood. So certainly, because you have realized it, I am asking it to you. Other people who have not realized, there's no use of asking from them. So that's basically his inquiry. And Prabhupada says that anyone who is a spiritual master should have answered to all these questions. आसीद्यद् उदरात् पद्मं लोके संस्थानलक्षणं यावान् अयं वै पुरुष यथा वायवे पृथक् तावान् असाव इति प्रोक्तः संस्था वयववान् इव. Yes, please you translate and purport.
I read. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, is possessed of a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of common living entities? Purport. One should note how Maharaj Parikshit intelligently put questions before his spiritual master for scientific understanding of the transcendental body of the Lord. It has been described in many places before this that the Lord assumed a gigantic body like that of Karanodakshai Vishnu, from whose hair pores innumerable universes have generated. The body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu is described as sprouting the lotus stem within which all the planets of the universe remain, and at the top of the stem is the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is born. In the creation of the material world, the Supreme Lord is undoubtedly assumes a gigantic body, and living entities also get bodies big or small according to necessity. For example, an elephant gets a gigantic body according to its needs, and so also an ant gets its body according to its needs. Similarly, if the personality of Godhead assumes a gigantic body to accommodate the universes or the planets of the particular universe, there is no difference in the principle of assuming or accepting a particular type of body in terms of necessity. A living being and the Lord cannot be distinguished simply by the difference in the magnitude of the body. So the answer depends on the specific significance of the body of the Lord as distinguished from the body of the common living being. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, Asidyat Udarad Padmam Loka Samsthan Lakshanam, the Supreme Lord from whose belly this lotus has come, Padmam. As you explained that this lotus has so many planets, so though different from human form, which is endowed with limited limbs, Lord seems to have so many limbs. So what is exactly the difference between the Lord and the Jiva? Hmm. That means Lord also has a similar body like Jiva. Then how is Lord different from the Jiva? So that's a basic question. So Lord from whose navel this lotus has come, basically all the planetary systems are within that navel. So within that lotus. But then it is explained that Lord is different from a metal person who has limited limbs. So like we have hands and feet, we find that Lord also has certain hands and feet. So of course, Lord's hands and feet are a little different, but at least hands and feet are there. So what is that exact difference between Lord's limbs and the limbs of the living entities? So he's inquiring about that difference. Okay. अजासृजति भूतानि भूतात्मा यत् अनुग्रहात् ददर्शे येन तदरूपं नाभि पद्म समुद्भवः. Yes, please retranslate the purport.
I will read, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, please.
Brahma, who was not born of a material source, but of the lotus flower coming out of the navel abdomen of the Lord, is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of course, by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord. Purport. The first living creature, Brahma, is called Aja because he did not take his birth from the womb of a mother materially born. He was directly born from the bodily expansion of the lotus flower of the Lord. Thus, it is not readily understandable whether the body of the Lord and that of Brahma are of the same quality or different. This must also be clearly understood. One thing is, however, certain: Brahma was completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord because after his birth, he could create living beings by the Lord's grace only, and he could see the form of the Lord. Whether the form seen by Brahma is of the same quality as that of Brahma is bewildering question, and Maharaja Parikshit wanted to get clear answers from Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. So now he says, please clearly explain. Aja srajati bhutani. Aja means basically ajayate. That's referring to Brahma. Because Brahma is not born from material mother and father. He's born from the Lord directly. So this is called Aja. So Ajata Sajati Bhutani. He is controller and he's the maker, creator of individual bodies. Bhutatma. Yet Anugrahat. By the mercy of the Lord, he only creates what he creates. So he's born from the navel coming from the Lord and he creates everything. So we find that Lord is not without any form, he has a form. Brahma also has a form. So although Brahma is unborn but is born from the lotus which comes from the Lord's navel, is the form of Lord similar to that of Brahma? See, one who comes from mother and father, it's very clear. he will have the body identity like mother and father. But Brahma is born from a lotus which comes from the navel of the Lord. So, in one sense, you can say, okay, Lord is mother and father. Or you can say, no, 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 lotus is the mother and father. So, can you say the lotus is child of the Lord? No, it's not like that. So, that means it may be that Brahma has the same bodily features like the Lord, and it may be that Brahma doesn't have bodily features like that of the Lord. So, please explain very clearly. Are they same? Are they different? So, this was his question. And then the next one. सचापि यत्र पुरुषो विश्वस्थिति उपवापेयः मुक्त्वात्मा मायमायेशः शेते सर्वगुहाशयः. Yes, please read translation purport.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Please also explain personality of Godhead who lies in every heart as the supersoul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy. Purport. Undoubtedly, the form of the Lord who was seen by Brahma must be transcendental. Otherwise, how could he simply look upon the creative energy without being touched? It is understood also that the same Purusha lies in the heart of every living entity. This also requires proper explanation.
Yeah, thank you. So this was another confusion. Sa cha api yatra puruso vistiti upyapapi. Please describe about where this Purusha, the Lord, who is creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe, who is the Lord of Maya, who is the dwelling place of other living entities, where does he stay, and how does he remain untouched by Maya? So please describe the place where the Lord stays. About that Lord who glances over the Prakriti and the creation takes place. So although he is the Lord of Maya, the master of Maya, he does not touch Maya directly. So where does he stay? Please explain. Because he doesn't stay in uh, three modes of material nature. He is the one who glances on the Prakriti. That means he is supposed to be transcendental. So if he is transcendental, where does he stay? What is that place? It doesn't seem to be part of this creation. It's a very logical question. पुरुषावयवेलोकः सपाला पूर्वकल्पिताः लोकेरमुष्यावयवाः सपालेर इति सुश्रुमा. Yes, please read the translation.
O learned Brahmana, it was formally explained that all the planets of the universe with their respective governors are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary system themselves continue to gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. But what is their actual position? Will you please explain that?
Yeah. So this is the next question. The planets were previously imagined as the limbs of the Lord, as we have heard about that Purusha. Purusha avayave loka sapala purvakalpita. So earlier we were thought like that. So the limbs of the Lord were equated with the planets, like Rasatal is called his feet, sorry, Patal is called his feet, Bhuloka is considered his uh, hips part, or the waist part. Bhuvaloka is considered as navel. Swargloka is called considered as upper part. So these things were explained before, and I have heard this from your mouth only. If there are some other details about it, that please let me know. Uh, so earlier I had asked that how Jiva is controlled by the Lord, how the second Purusa, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he stays, and then how did the first Purusa who stays, where does the third Purusa stayed. So I had asked about all these things. I had asked about the totality of the Jivas. I had asked 5 questions suitable for Santaras, Dasaras, Vasalas, uh, Madhuras, etc. So now, please tell me about more details. More details that apart from that, are there some other details also? Because generally, Virat Purusha is considered a blueprint of this material world. So Brahmaji is an engineer. So like before making a building, we need a blueprint. So similarly, Virat Purusha is like a blueprint. So Lord already spoke where should all the planets be situated, how Varnasam should be made. That's why you find different Virat Purusas which were mentioned earlier in the second canto. So are there some other details also? Because we understand that they're in the subtle form, but then there has to be some gross forms also. There has to be some gross forms. It's like now, okay, blueprint of the building is that, then has to be building also. So if there are some other explanations, please let us know. So that's basically his question. Okay. Now next one. यावान् कल्पो विकल्पो वा यथा कालो अनुमीयते भूत भव्य भवच्छब्द आयुर्मानं च यत् सतः. Yes, please you translation purport.
Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation and the duration of other subsidiary creations as well as the nature of time indicated by the words past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration of measurement of life in different living beings known as demigods, human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe. Purport. Past, present, and future are different features of time, indicate the duration of life for the universe and all paraphernalia, including the different living beings in different planets. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. So yagan kalpo vikalpo va. Please speak out kalpas. Kalpa is basically 12 hours of Brahma. Vikalpa is the division of that time also. So yatha kalo anumiyate. So how this time is perceived? Please explain about that. The divisions of the time basically. And bhuta bhavya bhavas shabda. How this time is perceived in the past. Bhuta. Bhavya means bhav and bhavas means present and the future. So please tell about them. And ayur manam yat sataha. And please tell about the lifespans. Lifespans of those who have these bodies, like human beings, the pitris, the devatas, how their lifespans are there. So please tell us about that also. And that will be explained in the third chapter. Sorry, third canto. The divisions of time. Yeah. And then its questions continue. कलस्यानुगतेर्या तु लक्ष्यते अण्विभृत् बृहति अपि यावत्या कर्मगतयो यादृशी द्विजसत्तम. Yes, please read the translation.
O purest of the Brahmanas, please also explain the cause of the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action.
So kalasya anugatir. Please explain about the progress of time. Ya tu lakshte anvi brahti api. Anvi means small, brahti means big. So there may be some small divisions of time. There may be some big divisions of time. So there are small divisions like anu, tishanu. Big divisions like parmanu, mahan. So there are small and big divisions are there. And the number and types of destinations achieved by karma. So yavata karma gatiyo, the goal, the destination of karma. Please explain about them. Yeah. So karma gatya refers to destination achieved by sinful activities or pious activities. So one commits sin, what one gets, what one commits piety, what one gets. So now the question comes is, why is it required for a devotee? No, it's required for a devotee. It's required for a devotee to discriminate between pure bhakti and the mixed bhakti. Only when one can see what is contamination can one understand what is freedom from contamination. That's why you find in Bhagavad Gita also, many times no devotees have this question, and sometimes outsiders are confused. Why does Krishna speak so much about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga? If we see practically, Bhakti Yoga is in the middle six chapters. Somehow, middle six chapters are not so big. Last six chapters are pretty big, which are more about Gyan. So, why does Lord speak about all these things? Because in order to glorify Bhakti, one has to see the comparisons. One has to compare with Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, the effort required for them, the results obtained from them, the quality of the results. And that is why Krishna speaks about all these things. So similarly, Parishit Maharaj is asking about different results of karma so that he can understand what is pure bhakti and the glory of pure bhakti. Like Krishna says in Uddhav Gita, Jada Siddho Matkata So Nirvinna Sarvakarmashu. So he who has developed faith in my topics is indifferent to all karmas. So till one develops that taste for the glory of the Lord, one should perform all the karmas. So that is why he wants a comparison. Basically, he wants a comparison. And now next verse. Yasmin karma samavayo yata yenopagrahyate gunanam guninam chaiva parinamam abhipsatam. Yes, please you translation the purport.
I'll read it again. Then again, kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living beings, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures. Purport. The actions and reactions of all works in the material modes of nature, either in the minute form or in the gigantic form, are accumulated, and thus the result of such accumulated actions and reactions of karma or work become manifested in the same proportion. How such actions and reactions take place, what the different procedures are, and in what proportion they act are all subject matters of Maharaj Parikshit's inquiries from the great Brahman Shukadeva Goswami. Life in the higher planets, known as the abodes of the denizens of heaven, is obtained not by the strength of spacecraft, as is now being contemplated by the inexperienced scientist, but by works done in the mode of goodness. Even on the very planet where we are now living, there are restrictions upon the entrance of foreigners into a country where the citizens are more prosperous. For example, the American government has many restrictions for the entrance of foreigners from less prosperous countries. The result is that the Americans do not wish to share their prosperity with any foreigner who has not qualified himself as a citizen of America. Similarly, the same mentality is prevailing in every other planet where there are more intelligent living beings residing. The higher planetary living conditions are all in the mode of goodness, and anyone desiring to enter the higher planets like the Moon, Sun, and Venus must qualify thoroughly by activity in complete goodness. Maharaj Parikshit's inquiries are on the basis of proportionate actions of goodness which qualify one in this planet to be promoted to the highest regions of the universe. Even on this planet of our present residence, one cannot achieve a good position within the social order without being qualified with proportionate good work. One cannot forcibly sit on the chair of a high court judge without being qualified for the post. Similarly, one cannot enter into the higher planetary systems without being qualified by good works in this life. Persons addicted to the habits of passion and ignorance have no chance of entering the higher planetary system simply by an electronic mechanism. According to the statements of the Bhagavad Gita 9.25, persons trying to qualify themselves for promotion to the higher heavenly planets can go there. Similarly, persons trying for the Pitrulokas can go there. Similarly, persons trying to improve the conditions of this earth can also do that. And persons who are engaged in going back home, back to Godhead, can achieve that result. The various actions and reactions of work in the mode of goodness are generally known as pious work with devotional service, culture of knowledge with devotional service, okay, culture of knowledge with devotional service, mystic powers with devotional service, and at last devotional service unmixed with any other varieties of goodness. This unmixed devotional service is transcendental and is called Parabhakti. Sorry. It alone can promote a person to the transcendental kingdom of God. Such a transcendental kingdom is not a myth, but is as factual as the moon. One must have transcendental qualities to understand the kingdom of God and God Himself. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay. So yasmin karma samavayo yatha yonopagrahiyate gunanam gulinam chaiva parinama bhipsata. Please speak about the bodies desired by the jivas according to different results. So transformation of godas refers to the bodies of devatas and other desired by the different jivas, Gudinam. So please speak about the activities of sin, piety, yoga, jnana, bhakti, which are formed by different transformations of gunas. Of course, when it's to come to bhakti, uh, there can be karma misra bhakti, gyan misra bhakti, yoga misra bhakti, or pure bhakti. When performs bhakti with a mixed desire, hmm, like uh, the example is that of Dhruv Maharaj. So Dhruv Maharaj wanted a kingdom better than, much greater than Brahma. Of course, later on, he expresses a desire, no, no, my lord, I got you, I don't want anything else. But Lord said, no, your desire while approaching me was mixed. So you'll get both the results. So Lord gives him the opportunity to rule this world. Then now he's ruling currently Dhruv Loka, which is a part of Sisumar planetary systems, which is more opulent than Satyaloka also, where Lord personally resides actually. It's part of spiritual world. So Karma Misra Bhakti. Similarly, Gyan Misra Bhakti is when person wants to get Krishna as the goal, but at the same time, he has great attraction for contemplating on 24 elements, and that impedes his Sravanam Kirtanam. Like suppose, and I don't say it happens, but suppose in some temple, instead of attending Mangalarti, some brahmachari goes and he goes in the crematorium ground to experience that how I am not this body. So he meditates on the burning dead body. Oh, within a moment, all the hairs are gone. That's why I don't have hairs. I am seven-headed. What is the use of growing hairs and putting so many oils? What is the use of putting so many creams like Fair and Handsome and Fair and Lovely and all these things? Skin is burnt in no moment. So Gyan is many times meditated like that. Gyan is meditated like that. What is the use of growing muscles? They are burnt to ashes in no time. No use of going to the gym and building your body. So we also talk about 24 elements, but then that is not the prime object of meditation for devotees. Prime object of meditation for devotees is Krishna, and Krishna is dealing with the devotees. So one who has a separate or different meditation on 24 elements as the prime meditation. At the same time, he wants Supreme Lord. He is called a Gyan Misra Bhakta. Similarly, Yog Misra Bhakta is one who wants to achieve the Supreme Lord by the process of Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam rather than just Shravanam Kirtanam. So that is how pure bhakti is different from that. So certainly this question is more important for those who are Karma Misra, Gyan Misra and Yoga Misra Bhaktas. But then because Bhagavatam talks about all sorts of bhakti apart and discriminates with a pure bhakti, that's why this question becomes relevant. Okay. Now he has further questions. भूपाताल ककुव्योम ग्रह नक्षत्र भूभृताम सरित समुद्र द्वीपानाम संभवश्चैतत् ओकसाम. Yes, please read translation and the purport.
Hare Prabhu, Hare Krishna. O best of Brahmanas, please also describe how the creation of the globes throughout the universe, the four directions of the heavens, the sky, the planets, the stars, the mountains, the rivers, the seas, and the islands, as well as their different kinds of inhabitants, takes place. Purport. The inhabitants of the different varieties of land, etc., are differently situated, and not all the men are equal in all respects. The inhabitants of the land are different from the inhabitants of the water or the sky. And similarly, the inhabitants of the different planets and stars are in the sky are also different from one another. By the laws of the Lord, no place is vacant, but the creatures of one particular place are different from those of other places. Even in human society, the inhabitants of the jungles or the deserts are different from those of the cities and villages. They are so made according to the different qualities of the modes of nature. Such adjustment by the laws of nature is not blind. There is great plan behind the arrangement. Maharaja Parikshit requests the great sage Sukadeva Goswami to explain all this authoritatively in accordance with proper understanding. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So he wants to know more. So please speak about creation of various planets. What type of different people stay there? Because different places are suitable for different inhabitants. Now, certainly, why is so much interested about different species of life, etc.? Basically, he wants to know about different types of devotees who stay at different places. Like we'll find in the fifth canto. When fifth canto comes, there is explanation of different planetary systems, but somehow devotees find that certain things are missing. There's some missing link. And the reason is that Bhagavatam focuses more on types of devotees residing at different places. So the emphasis of Bhagavatam is not on simply knowing about different species, etc. It's more on what our devotees stay at different places and whom do they worship, how do they worship. Like in Kimpur Varsa, Hanumanji stays with other human-like monkeys, Kimpursaha, Ardhapursa, like that. And they worship Lord Ram there. In Bharatvarsha, Narna and Rishija are the prime deities where we stay. So in this way, different devotees worship the Lord in different places, in different ways. And Parishit Maharaj is eager to know about them. So that's the purpose. प्रमाणम अंडकोशस्य बाह्याभ्यंतर भेदतः महतां चानुचरितं वर्णाश्रम विनिश्चयः. Yes, please read the translation and the purport.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Also, please describe the inner and outer space of the universe by specific divisions, as well as the character and activities of the great souls, and also the characteristics of the different classifications of the castes and orders of social life. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Parikshit is a typical devotee of Lord Krishna, and as such, he is anxious to know the complete significance of the creation of the Lord. He wants to know the inner and outer space of the universal form. It is quite fitting for the real searcher of knowledge to know all about this. Those who are of the opinion that the devotees of the Lord are satisfied with mere sentiments can find in the inquiries of Maharaja Parikshit good lessons as to how inquisitive a pure devotee is to know things in their true perfection. The modern scientist is unable to know about the inner space of the universal horizon, and what to speak of the space which covers the universe. Maharaja Parikshit is not satisfied with only material knowledge. He is inquisitive about the character and activities of the great souls, the devotees of the Lord. The glories of the Lord and the glories of his devotees combined together comprise the complete knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna showed his mother the complete universal creation within his mouth, while she, completely charmed by her son, wanted to look inside the mouth of the Lord just to see how much earth the child had eaten. By the grace of the Lord, the devotees are able to see everything in the universe within the mouth of the Lord. The very idea of the specific divisions of four classes of human society and four orders of life is also inquired about herewith on the basis of individual personal quality. The four divisions are exactly like the four divisions of one's personal body. The parts and parcels of the body are non different from the body, but by themselves they are only parts. That is the significance of the whole scientific system of four castes and four social orders. The value of such scientific divisions of human society can be ascertained only in terms of the proportionate development of devotional service to the Lord. Any person employed in government service, including the president, is a part and parcel of the entire government. Everyone is a government servant, but no one is the government himself. That is the position of all living entities in the government of the Supreme Lord. No one can artificially claim the supreme position of the Lord, but everyone is meant to serve the purpose of the Supreme Whole. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, प्रमाणम अंडकोशस्य बाह्य व अंतर्भेदतः. Please speak of the dimensions of the universe. Bahya, outside, antar, inside. And also explain about Mahatam Chanucharitam, activities of great souls, and Varnasram Vinishitaya, about the definition of Varnasram. So he wants to know the dimensions of the universe, what type of the universe exists in Lord's belly. So basically, when Krishna sold universes within his belly, if one is aware about the dimensions of those universes, then one will relish the type of wonder which was experienced by Mother Yashoda. That's why when we say about Lord's greatness, one should know about how great God is. Like Prabhupada would many times say, Everybody says God is great. God is great. But one should try to know how great God is. So that is why he's inquiring out all these things. Then Varnasam rules, they are applicable for the mixed devotees. So he's asking about that also. Because meant for Karma Misra or Gyan Misra Bhaktas. So basically he's asking about all these things because they have connection with Krishna. And actually speaking, everything has connection with Krishna. So if we hear from a pure devotee how everything is connected with Krishna, then we can be Krishna conscious 24 hours a day. So that's why he's inquiring about all these things. But when such things are inquired from devotees, they will also tell how they are related to Krishna. So that's why he's asking all these questions. Yugani yugamanam cha dharmo yascha yuge yuge avtaranucharitam yat ascharyatamam harehe. Yes, please read the translation and the purport.
Hare Krishna, shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Translation. Please explain all the different ages in the duration of the creation and also the duration of such ages. Also tell me about the different activities of the different incarnations of the Lord in different ages. Purport. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, although non-different from him, are emanations from the Supreme. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from the great and learned sage Sukadev Goswami about the different activities of such incarnations so that the incarnation of the Lord might be confirmed by his activities in the authoritative scriptures. Maharaj Parikshit was not to be carried away by the sentiments of the common man to accept an incarnation of the Lord very cheaply. Instead, he wished to accept the incarnation of the Lord by symptoms mentioned in the Vedic literatures and confirmed by an acharya like Sukadeva Goswami. The Lord descends by his internal energy without any obligation to the laws of material nature, and thus his activities are also uncommon. The specific activities of the Lord are mentioned, and one should know that the activities of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical due to being on the absolute plane. Thus, to hear the activities of the Lord means to associate with the Lord directly, and association with the Lord directly means purification from material contamination. We have already discussed this point in the previous one. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So the next question is Yugani Yugamanam cha. Please explain about different yugas and that duration also. Yugamanam is duration. Dharmo yascha yoga yoga. What different dharmas, yug dharmas were prevailing in different yugas. And avatar anucharitam. Please explain about the activities of different yoga avatars. Yaj ascharyatamam hare. And also explain about the wonderful, astonishing activities of these yoga avatars. So he is asking about all these details. And Prabhupada writes he is asking about all these details because he doesn't want to accept anyone cheaply. Anybody who claims that I am God, he doesn't want to accept them. He wants to hear about them from sadhus who are well versed in the scriptures, so that he can know who are genuine incarnations. Yeah. Nirnam sadharano dharmaha savisesasya yadrasaha श्रेणीनाम राजर्षीणाम च धर्मः कृच्छ्रेषु जीवताम. Yes, please read the translation and the purport.
Translation. Please also explain what may generally be the common religious affiliations of human society, as well as their specific occupational duties in the religion, the classification of the social orders, as well as the administrative royal orders and the religious principles for one who may be in distress. Purport. The common religion of all classes of human beings, regardless of whosoever and whatsoever one may be, is the devotional service. Even the animals may be included in the devotional service to the Lord. And the best example is set by Sri Vajrangaji or Hanuman, the great devotee of Lord Sri Rama. As we have already discussed, in even the aborigines and cannibals can also be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord if they happen to be under the guidance of a genuine devotee of the Lord. In the Skanda Purana, there is a narration that a hunter in the jungle became the most enlightened devotee of the Lord by the guidance of Sri Narad Muni. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord can be equally shared by every living being. Religious affiliation in terms of different countries and cultural circumstances is obviously not the common religion of the human being. Rather, the basic principle is devotional service. Even if a particular type of religious principle does not recognize the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the followers still have to obey the disciplinary principles laid down by a particular leader. Such a leader of a religious sect is never the supreme leader because such a circumstantial leader comes to the position of a leadership after undergoing some penance. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not, however, require to be under the disciplinary action to become leader, as we see in the activities of Lord Krishna. The occupational duties of the castes and the orders of the society, following the principles of livelihood, also depend on the principle of devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that a person can achieve the highest perfection of life simply by avoiding the results of his occupational duty unto the devotional service of the Lord. People following the principles of devotional service to the Lord can never be put into difficulty, and thus there cannot be any question of apadharma or religion in distress, as will be explained in this book by the greatest authority, Sri Sukadev Goswami. There is no religion save and except the devotional service of the Lord, though this may be presented in different forms. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, Nirnam Sadhava Sadharano Dharmaha. Please speak about Sadharan Dharma, general Dharma for all men. And Sa Visesascha Yadrisaha. And Bhakti and various dharmas according to the birth. Vishesha means specific dharma basically. Srinam, Radhasrinam cha. Speak out the dharmas for those who are Vaisyas and Rajarsis for the kings. Dharma Kritisu Jivitam. And dharma, when it is impossible to perform a regular occupational duty. So sadharana dharma basically refers to bhakti because it's same for everyone. So even the outcast, people within the varnashram, the birds, the beast, like Prabhupada is talking about Hanumanji. So all of them, they or Jatayu, so all of them, they all perform one dharma that is called the bhakti dharma bhakti. And then Vishesha are the dharmas according to one's birth. One is born in particular place, time, circumstances, then there are some dharmas for that. Like there are varnashram dharmas also in which one and ashram person comes. Like there are different dharmas for kings, different dharmas for Vaisyas. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas have different dharmas. Brahmana is supposed to forgive. Kshatriyas should punish. If Kshatriyas keep on forgiving the wrongdoers and culprits, they will harass the people even more. Whereas a Brahmana, when there is some injustice to the Brahmana, he forgives. So there are different dharmas for everyone. Brahmana should never speak a lie, and Vaisya can't earn profit without a lie. Vaisya has to say, "Oh, I'm giving you are my relative, I'm giving it for half price." and then he may be giving for 4 times the price. So he speaks a lie just to run his business. So they're different dharmas. So savivesaha. And then there are some emergency dharmas also. Like for example, Brahmana is supposed to live by Patan Patan Yajanadan Dan Parigraha. Reading and teaching, Patan Patan, Yajan Yadan, doing the DT verse and Yagyas and teaching to others, accepting charity and giving charity. But then he may not be able to survive by that. If he is not able to survive, then the Bhagavatam 7th canto recommends, in such a case, one can do business till the emergency situation of being poverty, being poor goes away. Then he can again come back to this dharma of Brahmana. If he can't do even that, then he can do the work of Kshatriya. But he should never do the work of Sudra, serving under some master. So that's recommendation for a Brahmana. Similar recommendations for Vaisyas and Kshatriyas also. So this is called apadharmas. Like when one of our devotees, he was a brahmachari with me in brahmachari ashram when I was in a brahmachari. So that time, when he changed his ashram, he thought I'll just stay as a grasta by doing samskaras for the devotees and getting Lakshmi. So he went for a marriage ceremony and then he got just a donation of 2000 rupees. Even his traveling expenses were more than that. So then he said, now I'm discouraged. I have to do something else. So then I told him, but that devotee may be really poor, that's why he was given 2000 rupees. He said, no. Each plate of prasad was worth around 1000 to 2000 rupees. And he just gave me donation of 2000 rupees. So then he said that I'm discouraged, I can't continue. So this is called apadharmas. Apadharmas means one can't continue one's dharma if financially things are not met. So he's basically asking, please tell about them also. And then the next verse. Tattvanam parisankhanam lakshanam hetu lakshanam purusaradhana vidhir yogasyadhyatmikasya cha. Yes, please read the translation and the
Yes.
purport.
Kindly explain all about elementary principles of creation, the number of such elementary principles, their causes and their development, and also process of devotional service and the method of mystic powers.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Yeah. So, tattvanam parisankhanam. Please enumerate about the elements. Tattvanam. Parisankhanam. Sankhanam basically means counting. Yeah. So, please describe about their principal qualities as well. And lakshanam, hetu lakshanam. Please describe about their effects also. Purusa aradhana. How to worship these Purusa avtaras. Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Karnodaksha Vishnu, Thirodaksha Vishnu. So please tell how to worship them. And yogas adhatmikascha. And please explain about yoga misr bhakti, etc. Ashtanga yoga mixed with bhakti. So basically he wants to know all these things. Yes. Yogaswara gatir linga bhangastu yoginam vedopaveta dharmanam itihasa puranayoho. Yes, please read that answer and the purport.
What are the opulence of the great mystics and what is their ultimate realizations? How does the perfect mystic become detached from the subtle astral body? what is the basic knowledge of the Vedic literatures, including the branches of history and the supplementary Puranas. The Yogeshwara or the master of mystic powers can exhibit 8 kinds of wonders of perfection by becoming smaller than the atom or lighter than the feather, getting anything and everything he desires, going anywhere and everywhere he likes, creating even a planet in the sky, etc. There are many Yogeshwaras having different proficiencies in these wonderful powers, and the topmost of all them is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the greatest yogi, and he can perform such wonderful things far beyond the ordinary living beings. The devotee of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, do not directly practice the process of mystic powers, but by the grace of the Lord, his devotees can defeat even a great Yogeshwara like Durvasha Muni, who picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambrisha and wanted to show the wonderful achievements of his mystic powers. Maharaj Amrish was a pure devotee of the Lord, and thus, without any effort on his part, the Lord saved him from the wrath of Yogeshwara Durvasa Muni, and the latter was obliged to beg pardon from the king. Similarly, at the time of Draupadi's precarious position, when she was attacked by the Kurus, who wanted to see her naked in the open assembly of the royal order, the Lord saved her from being stripped by supplying an unlimited length of sari to cover her. And Draupadi knew nothing of mystic powers. Therefore, the devotees are also Yogeshwaras by the unlimited power of the Lord. Just as a child is powerful by the strength of the parents, they do not try to protect themselves by any artificial means, but are saved by the mercy of the parents. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from the learned Brahmana Sukdev Goswami about the ultimate destination of such great mystics, or how they attain such extraordinary powers by their own efforts or by the grace of the Lord. He inquired also about their detachment from the subtle and gross material bodies. He inquired also about the purpose of the Vedic knowledge as stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.15. The whole purport of all the Vedas is to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus becomes a transcendental loving servant of the Lord.
Thank you. So Yogeswarer Aswarya. Aswar means opulence. Gatir Ling Bhangastu Yoginam. Speak about the position of power achieved by great devotees. And Ling Bhangas. How these yogis destroy their subtle bodies, become free from subtle bodies, uh, and then reach their different destinations. And yo Vedopaved Dharmanam. Please explain about the conclusion of the Vedas. Not just Vedas, Upaveda, Vedopaveda, Upaveda. Itihasas, those were Itihasas, those were Puranas. Like Bhagavatam is called a Purana, Ramayana is called Itihas. Hmm. So please explain about them. There are Vedas, 4 Vedas are there. Sam, Yajur, Vedas, etc. The Upavedas, like Dhanur Veda is the art of fighting. So these all are Upavedas or Ayurveda. Ayurveda is also called Upaveda. So please explain about them. So Yogeswar basically refers to great devotees like Lord Shiva who have attained the great position. And destruction of subtle bodies are more suitable for those who are Santras Bhaktas. Because generally those who are Yogmesar Bhaktas, after giving up their bodies, when they go to Vaikuntha, they generally become Santras Bhaktas. Uh, so that's what he wants to know about them. And Prabhupada writes that devotees don't have to acquire these eight mystic potencies separately, because by the mercy of the Lord, one can be saved from all calamities without these opulences also, without opulence of these 8 mystic powers. Like when Durvasa Muni tried to kill Amrish Maharaj, Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord protected Amrish Maharaj. So devotee doesn't have to run after these mystic powers separately. In 5th canto, Lord Rishabdev When mystic potencies came in front of him, he refused to accept them. And there he says that the reason is that these mystic potencies can agitate one's mind in such a way that one will be just engaged in displaying these mystic potencies rather than practicing devotion service. And because of that fear, a devotee doesn't accept them. संप्लवा सर्वभूतानां विक्रमा प्रतिसंकर्मः इष्टा पूर्तस्य काम्यानां त्रिवर्गस्य च यो विधिः. Yes, please you translation the purport. Mhm. Yes, seems devotees are
Please
tired.
explain on to me how the. Is someone reading?
Please
Mataji,
continue,
go ahead,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Please explain on to me how the living beings are generated, how they are maintained, and how they are annihilated. Tell me also of the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service unto the Lord. What are the Vedic rituals and injunctions of the supplementary Vedic rites, and what are the procedures of religion, economic development, and self satisfaction? Sampalavaha, in the sense of perfect means, is employed to denote the discharging of devotional service, and prati sampalavaha means just the opposite, or that which destroys the progress of devotional service. One who is firmly situated in the devotional service of the Lord can very easily execute the function of conditional life. Living the conditional life is just like playing a boat in the middle of the ocean. One is completely at the mercy of the ocean, and at every moment there is every chance of being drowned in the ocean of slight agitation, ocean by slight agitation. If the atmosphere is all right, the boat can ply very easily, undoubtedly. But if there is some storm, fog, wind, or cloud, there is every possibility of being drowned in the ocean. No one can control the whims of the ocean. However, one may be materially well equipped. One who has crossed the ocean by ship may have sufficient experience of such dependence upon the mercy of the ocean, but one can ply over the ocean of material existence by the grace of the Lord very easily without any fear of a storm or fog. It all depends on the will of the Lord. No one can help if there is some unfortunate danger in the state of conditional life. The devotees of the Lord, however, cross the ocean of material existence without anxiety because a pure devotee is always protected by the Lord. Bhagavad Gita 9:13. The Lord gives special attention to his devotees in their activities within material conditional life. Bhagavad Gita 9:29. Therefore, everyone should take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and be a pure devotee of the Lord by all means. One should know, therefore, from the expert spiritual master the advantages and disadvantages of discharging devotional service, just as Maharaj Parikshit asked his spiritual master, Srila Sukdev Goswami. According to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, one should not eat more than what he requires to maintain body and soul together. Vegetable diet and milk are sufficient for maintenance of the human body, and therefore one has no need to eat anything more to satisfy the palate. One should also not accumulate money to become puffed up in the material world. One should earn his livelihood easily and honestly, for it is better to become a coolie for an honest livelihood than to become a great man in society by hook and crook. There is no harm if one becomes the richest man in the world by honest dealings, but one should not sacrifice the honest means of a livelihood simply to accumulate wealth. Such an endeavor is harmful to devotional service. One should not talk nonsense. A devotee's business is to earn the favor of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee should always glorify the Lord in his wonderful creations. A devotee should not declare the creation of the Lord, defying him by saying that he has created a false world. The world is not false. Actually, we have to take so many things from the world for our maintenance. So, how we can say that the world is false? Similarly, how can one think of the Lord as being without form? How can one become formless and at the same time have all intelligence and consciousness, direct and indirect? So, there are many things for a pure devotee to learn, and he should learn them perfectly from a bona fide spiritual, bona fide personality like Sukdev Goswami. The favorable condition for discharging devotional service are that one should be very enthusiastic in serving the Lord. The Lord, in his form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wanted the cult of devotional service to the Lord to be preached all over the world, in every nook and corner, and therefore a pure devotee's duty is to discharge this order as far as possible. Every devotee should be very enthusiastic not only in performing his daily rituals of devotional service, but in trying to preach the cult peacefully by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. If he is not superficially successful in such an attempt, he should not be deterred from the discharge of his duty. Success or failure has no meaning for a pure devotee because he is a soldier in the field. Preaching the cult of devotional service is something like declaring war against materialistic life. There are different kinds of materialists, such as fruity workers, the mental speculators, the mystic jugglers, and so many others. All of them are against an existence of Godhead. They would declare that they are themselves God, although in every step and in every action they are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, a pure devotee may not associate with such gangs of atheists. A strong devotee of the Lord will not be misled by such atheistic propaganda of the non devotees, but a neophyte devotee should be very conscious about them. A devotee should see the right discharge of devotional service under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master and should not stick only to the formalities. Under the direction of this bona fide spiritual master, one should see how much service is being executed and not simply in the matter of rituals. A devotee should not hanker after anything, but he should be satisfied with things that may automatically come to him by the will of the Lord. That should be the principle of devotional service, and all these principles are easily learned under the guidance of a spiritual master like Sukdev Goswami. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukdev directly, and one should follow this example. Maharaj Parikshit inquired about the process of creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world, the process of Vedic rituals, and the method of executing pious activities in terms of the supplementary Vedas like the Puranas and Mahabharats. As explained before, the Mahabharata is the history of ancient India, and so also are the Puranas. Pious acts are prescribed in the supplementary Vedas, Smritis, which specifically mention digging tanks and wells for the water supply of the people in general, to plant trees on the public road, to construct public temples and places of worship of God, to establish places of charity where the poor destitutes can be provided with foodstuff, and similar activities are called putra. Similarly, the process of fulfilling the natural desires of sense gratification was also inquired about by the king for the benefit of all concerned.
Thank you. So, Samplava Sarvabhutana, what is deliverance of living entities from ocean of samsara? Samplava. Vikramaha, what is prowess necessary for that? For basically crossing the ocean of birth and death. Pratisankramaha. So, what is favorable for bhakti? What is not favorable for bhakti? So, Prabhupada was basically quoting this six things which enhance bhakti, six things which destroy bhakti, as we read in Nectar of Instruction. Then Ishtapurtasya Kamanam Trivargascha Yovidihi. So please share out the rules of uh, Ishta, that is Vedic rules. Smarta is Purtasya. Smarta means those who are followers of Karma Kanda basically, their rules and regulations. And those who perform Kama Karmas, that means activities for getting sense gratification, according to Vedic literatures. So Purta refers to things like making ponds, wells, water tanks, worship of the devtas, distributing food in charity, etc. So basically, he's also asking about dharma, artha, kama. What are relationships with them? So he's asking these things because they are suitable for karma bhakti. The karma bhakti does all these things along with the devotion service. So he has asked about them. So we'll continue with this inquiry in our next class. Okay. So we can end here. गंधरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शील पोपात की जय, वांच कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवानां नमो नमः, शील पोपात की जय. Sorry, devotees
Thank you,
didn't ask
sir.
any question.
Thank
Generally,
you
if you
so
have
much.
questions, you can ask during the class itself. You can just raise your hand and ask questions. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Shil Prabhupada ki jai.